Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra Ingerman, and welcome to another wonderful Shamans Cave.
And I'm Renee Barabo, coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, where it is a just glorious day.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's actually a glorious day here. And if I don't take my little jacket off, we'll
No,
be, we'll be looking at a very red sandy. In our show on the undertow, one of the things that I really wanted to bring up, and Renee did it in a beautiful way, and I shared what I could, is that we seem, it feels to me that when human beings get scared, they get more rigid, instead of more flexible. And this isn't, think of how many people we have on the planet. This isn't a statement of everybody. I'm sure there's people saying, that's not me. I'm a flexible person. But a lot of people get very rigid in fear and get controlling. They become afraid, and so their control issues come out. And that has its own spiritual illness to it, actually, that does eventually kind of move into a spiritual illness, meaning your personality ends up getting affected, and your health might be affected, because when you look at trees in the wind, a tree is not fighting where the wind is taking it. A tree is moving with the wind, dancing with the wind. And just have that image of dancing, a tree dancing with the wind and not being rigid. And those trees typically survive the storms, if you can move. But when anything gets really rigid, it oftentimes gets taken down by the strong winds or the strong tides or the strong rains, whatever is happening. And so we were talking about rigidity and the shadow side of control, and how that's like the undertow that grabs you and takes you down, all the way down. And so I know that many people, including myself right now, are starting to reevaluate our lives. Reevaluating how much work how many hours do I still want to be on the computer 13 hours a day, or do I want to start having a life? I'm starting to talk to my husband. We're bringing in games of what would bring some joy. And then on the other side, there's, I shared on the Shamans Cave about that I felt that women were not standing up for the innocent. And I got a beautiful email back from a woman thanking me for bringing this issue up, but also sharing resources with me of all the women's groups that are gathering women to stand stronger, to reduce poverty and hunger around the world. And so that's not being in the undertow, wanting to be an activist, but you're following the energy of where your body's moving to. You're following the energy of the river. You're following the flow of the river. And so, but if you're standing like that, a force might come and grab you and pull you along instead of you floating along. And the key to floating along is, are you listening to your soul? Are you doing what you feel your destiny is calling you to do right now? And your destiny might be calling you to be at home right now, gardening, emanating love. I'm getting more and more. I'm getting such amazing experiences from every time I have a judgment about myself. I immediately go to the deepest place inside of me and flood myself with love. I've been too judgmental on myself in my life. And so much of my passion right now is loving everything. I mean, because I can't do. Some of you can do, and you're passionate about doing. Some of you can be like myself, and you're passionate about being. And some of you are saying, I should be doing this, and you're not passionate about it at all. And it's actually drawing energy from you, and it's making you more tired. You're not in the flow. You're not following nature.
There was just like so much to unpack from that. I was thinking, one of the things that you see on Facebook a lot is everyone like saying, oh, let's all get together to pray for this. Meanwhile, the person can't maybe get out of bed themselves because they haven't cared for themselves in a way that their body can show up to really be the activist that they really want to be. And yet they're still providing all of those resources out. So it really makes me smile to hear you say that, every time you go into self-judgment about how much I can do or what I can't do, that you're turning around and taking it in and actually adding a lot of light to it. Someone said to me last week, Renee, I don't know how you do. You're the author and you work for a mental health company and you have your podcast and you're building a house. Where is the end of your energy? And I think to myself, like, how much I'm enjoying building the house. Like it doesn't feel like any energy is going out because I'm enjoying it so much. And the creation process for me is like so much fun that the builders have showed up. Like people say, we can't get an electrician. You built a house in 4 months. And I'm there like, well, I'm in relationship to the earth here, and the earth wants me to have, this dwelling. And so when something comes up from there, I'm like, okay, well, it must be a wait and see. I'm not trying to push against the undertow, and I'm trying to ride with it.
Yeah, I found that, in my teaching years, people always said to me, just like Renee, I don't have to repeat everything I've done in 40 years. How did you do so much? And just like Renee, I couldn't say this. I couldn't say the answer better. It brought me so much joy. Mm-hmm. My teaching, my writing, my seeing clients, I was doing all three at the same time and having to always juggle that, which was crazy. I answered every letter that people wrote me from Soul Retrieval about their abuse, and there was nobody else on the planet who could do that. I had so much passion. I loved it so much. I was writing an energy. Where I got so tired was dealing with retreat centers, fighting with me with what times the meals would be, and being completely unwilling to support the dance that I was trying to create at the workshop and push me into their rules and their rigidity. And all the screaming that went on over the phone for 20 years, that is what wore me down, not my teaching. It was the interactions with the retreat center business world. It completely wore me down. So, we have to look at these things. if I continue to teach, which I'm planning on, and I can see that for 30 something years, I've had no passion fighting with retreat center organizers who are being literally unreasonable that my group has to have dinner at 5 o'clock because other groups are here. But we're not finished with our session at 5 o'clock, things like that. And so that would be a job I would give to somebody else when I would continue to teach. So it's reflecting on what's been pulling energy out of us. This has just been too exhausting. It's not been something I'm passionate about. Where I know business people, I can call and have them do the contract with the retreat center, and there would be no problem whatsoever. And it would be their passion to bring the battle. So we all have to find what is it that we really feel good with right now. And I already talked about this, and Renee also added some wonderful information that some of us listening to the Shamans Cave are just starting out your life, and it's passionate to watch. It's joyful to watch. And some of us are, we're looking at the end. And so we're looking at what phase, what destiny is the end, and the end is usually a time of reflection and a time of where we can share love, and that's not being complacent. That's what people have been doing in their elder years for tens of thousands of years. That's the job of the elders, is to pray and to emanate love and light. So we're all in different places in life. And where did you sell out? Where did you listen to your parents or your teachers or to some authority figure and you sold out and you're not doing what you want to be doing or living the lifestyle that you want to be living because you've given your power away? Would you like to be doing more gardening? Would you like to be doing more activism work? Would you like to find a community and go out and start cleaning up the trash in your community? What would bring you passion when you think about it? What would bring you joy of helping to clean up your neighborhood or turning more inner into your own inner world? Everybody's on their own journey. We're on a collective journey, but we're on our own journey too.
It made me think of, like, we do the Shamans Cave, I think we're in season 3.
Yeah.
And we do it effortlessly. I mean, it's a big commitment. We show up and we do our recordings. But from there, like, Sandra does her part where she does the writing and I do my part where I get the, and it's just like, because there's a passion of delivering this content, and yet it flows together really, really well. And that's what it allows it to be. And so I'm seeing a lot lately in the Shamans Cave about people saying, like, I'm getting this call to be a shaman. What do I do? And, when I was getting that call, I would answer the phone, that was the way it was. It was like, oh, there's a fire walk over in the woods of Norwalk led by a nun. I would look and I'd actually check in with myself and I could feel the level of excitement. Fire walk, wow. And I'd head in that direction. When I got to the Lakota Sweat Lodge, it was like, oh, I got in there the first time and it felt like, oh, this feels like home. And, yet I brought a friend out there and she snuck out under the flap. I heard her car buzzing down the dirt path and I get an email from her that night. She goes, that's no different than what I endured in the Christian church when I had to do confession. And so clearly that wasn't her path. I mean, we want to make this whole big shenanigans about what way we're supposed to be going. Well, ask yourself, I'm building a new garage over there with a studio. I go out there and I look around at the trees and it feels really, really good. Oh, I want more of this. You know, I'm going to go to the desert next week to see how that feels. It's going to be August. I mean, that's probably not going to feel so good. But, you know, how does that feel? You have to take a step in a direction, and it might be the wrong direction. You might burn yourself on the stove. But if you don't take a step and you stay planted right where you are, you'll never know whether you should take the left, the right, or the middle path because you're froze.
You know, one of the most touching things that ever happened to me in my whole entire life
I'm already going to cry.
is I went to go see my parents when they were still alive, and they were in Florida, and they were in independent living. And my mother was 90 at the time. And she was lying on the couch, and I was sitting in a chair, and we were just conversing. And she said to me, you know, I sit and I spend a lot of time wondering if my life was a waste.
Oh.
And she said, and I came to know it wasn't a waste. I was a really good secretary. I went to the PTA. I raised 2 really beautiful children. I added to the community. I was a community leader. I spoke up. I helped your father keep the store so we could survive and have food to eat. No, my life was not a waste. And I was like holding my breath because the person I loved more than anybody in the planet, I don't know what I would have done if she would have said the words, my life was a waste. I really don't know what I would have done. It would have broken my heart. But this is what we don't want to get to a place of, did I waste time? And we have to look at how much time do we really have on the planet. And so in not wanting to waste time, my mother was actually genius IQ, but because of her family economics, was not allowed to graduate high school. And she did finally, but never went to college. And so, you know, she had to do jobs that she had a brain that could have really created a lot of good. But she did create a lot of good by what she brought into the places where she worked. And so we really have to look at, where are we contributing? Where do we feel like we're just wasting time? And how do we want to change that right now? It's really important. My husband Woods keeps saying to me, what if we only have 5 years left? What do we want to do in those 5 years? And he asks me this continuously. So this is something I really have to reflect on. What do I want to be doing in my next 5 years? What do you want to be doing? You might be here for another 40, 50 years. What do you want to be doing? And I realize that this is a tricky question that a lot of you just don't know right now. But I'm a step-by-step person. I believe in step-by-step. And so for those of you who feel like, I really need to look at this, but I feel overwhelmed, look at, what is one step? What is a hobby that you can do for half an hour a day that would bring a smile to your face and would make you feel good? And you start there, and then it's amazing what grows out of there.
And we're going to do a passion journey on this. And what I would add to that about that one step, Julia Cameron's artist date is such an amazing thing where you take yourself on an artist date. And an artist date is something you do alone, for yourself. And if you can't even think of what would I want to do for an artist date, like I might go, to the secondhand store looking for a special something or other, or there's a concert in the park, or it doesn't have to be, it could be free. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's going back and reviewing what things you'd like to do from the ages of 1 to 15 and seeing, oh yeah, I used to like to finger paint. Maybe go do a touch drawing afternoon. But the thing is it's a really good place to look where you did it unabashed as a child, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I remember I like to swim, even in the undertow. So
I like the spin that Renee put on this. So let's make this journey go back to your childhood, and what were the things that you really loved to do that you could start doing again. So we'll just it'll be a short journey as always. And then over time, you can listen to some shamanic music on your own, and you can go back with the same intention. Everybody, on Facebook, one of the most common questions that comes up is, I didn't finish my journey. What should I do? And I go, I never finish my journeys. One journey leads to another journey, leads to another journey. Go back and say, I'm not finished, and continue the conversation or whatever was going on. So we start with going back to our childhood and what did we love to do, as Renee says, what brought us fun, and what's practical for you to integrate back into your life right now. Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you had that you got something that can start to grow inside of you. A seed got planted that can start to grow inside of you.
I got the information that I still do a lot of the things that I used to like to do as a child, and that kind of keeps me childlike. So, there's like a couple that I'm not doing as much anymore, but I still like to not camp, but cook outside. I don't have a bicycle to ride, but the swimming, and it's a little chilly up here, but that I still do a lot of the things that I used to like to do outside in nature. So I wonder, did you find that to be true for yourself? Are you doing the things that you used to like to do, or what is it that you'd like to reintroduce into your life? And could you make a commitment to take one step towards that direction, not 10, and see how that one step feels?
Yeah, Renee, what you're sharing with people is really important, because we found that people go way too fast. They get information, then start flying with it, and then get paralyzed. And so there's not a whole lot to do right now. So go slow and reflect on what you can step by step bring into your life that will bring it more meaning, because we don't know what's going to go on in the outer world. We don't know what's going to go on in the outer world, but we do know our inner world is filled with beauty, filled with joy, filled with everything that we need. And so anything that we do in the outer world that stimulates an idea of some beauty that you can fill yourself up with, you're just going to change and become a different person over time in a really, really good way. And what's happening in the outer world just isn't going to have the same impact on you. So we hope that we keep trying to bring in subjects and topics that we can talk about spiritually, where you can get some idea on movement and change. And I just wanted to say, before I hand this over to Renee, that for those of you who don't know shamanic journeying, I have a little book, Shamanic Journeying, A Beginner's Guide. It's only 76 pages, and it teaches you everything that you need to know about the art of shamanic journeying. And it is on, there is an audio program of it too, if you don't want to read. And it's published by Sounds True, and you can get it anywhere. Because we don't give directions during the journey. So, and if you don't have time to read, just drop in. The drumming will always change your brain waves and take you where you need to go.
Thanks for that lesson. And thank you. And make sure you follow us over at the Shamans Cave on Facebook and shamanstv.com. We have a sign-up box if you want to join our mailing list. And we will drop every new one. And if you don't like the commercials on YouTube, go over to SoundCloud or iTunes and listen to us there as well. And we just hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day, and really one step forward.
Absolutely. And Renee, enjoy your building.
Oh, I'm going to.
I am so excited. I am so excited for you.
I know. It's like I was going to tell you, and Woods can come over anytime. So
yeah, I want to come. I really want to come visit.
All right. Well, you're welcome. So, all right. Well, everyone at home, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Blessings, everyone.